I'm Carrie Blazer, mother, shaman, and recently published author of My Inner Heroine, Exploring Feminine Pain. Yesterday, September 14th, 2025, I was called to share all the signs and synchronicities that my soul is the same soul as Mary Magdalene. And my guy from my childhood, whose initials are JC, is potentially Jesus Christ's soul, potentially. But that's for him to say, not for me to say. So I'm going to focus on me. And I've had a very traumatic life. I took on a lot of wounds so I could gain a lot of wisdom, a lot of feminine wounds I took on. And I've helped men like Andrew Tate, Justin Waller, his best friend. I had a personal relationship with Justin. 2 decorated Fire Academy instructors, local, that all led me back to JC, who's former FBI, currently head of global security at GoDaddy. Located in Phoenix, Arizona. I was born in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I really connected Charlie Kirk, who said Mary is the solution. He was referring to Mary, Jesus's mother, but Mary, Jesus's mother, was very close to Mary Magdalene as well. They went to a high priestess school together and were very close. So my middle name is May, which in Catholicism celebrates the month of Mary, Jesus's mother, and middle names are reserved to honor family members. And my birthday is June 25th, direct opposite of December 25th. And that's just at the beginning. So that's who I am. And I'm being courageous like Charlie Kirk and sharing myself and sharing my spirituality and my wisdom. I mean, since March of 2024, I've experienced enlightenment countless times to bring forth my own wisdom and to share it with the collective about what happens when a woman doesn't value her femininity, doesn't value her ability to create human life. And when that's encouraged in society through abortion, sexual promiscuity, and teaching women that they're best served by trying to be a man and provide and protect for themselves, not to honor their own femininity. So there's a lot of problems that I'm bringing to light here. And the timing of this, is very interesting. There's a lot of prophecies that this year's Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, is the time when rapture is coming, that Jesus is returning. And I don't know. I don't know exactly what's happening. That's not how my intuition works. And I haven't spoken to him yet, but the trauma between us is profound. So it makes sense why we haven't talked yet. But I'm developing my website at GoDaddy, and I'm now telling people who he is because I feel safe enough to do it. And I have to tell you that last fall, when I finally was guided to reach out to him, and I turned around and saw FBI, head of security at GoDaddy, I'm like, that's a one-man wrecking show. I feel safe. I'm going to keep going. And I did. So thank you, JC, for all of your hard work during the 40 years that we haven't spoken. And you're protecting me. I know you are. So today I'd like to talk about, there's a Christian holiday on September 14th, and then there's another Christian holiday on September 15th. September 14th is the Feast of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross. And the spiritual meaning, I had to look it up because I don't know this stuff. I have a master's degree in East Asian religious studies, not Western religious studies. My ex-husband's Israeli, and he knows biblical Hebrew, but he's not religious. And so we didn't practice the Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Pesach and Passover. And I speak a little Hebrew, but I don't know Jewish history. I don't know it. So here it is. I Googled it. Okay. So the spiritual meaning of the Feast of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross is the transformative power of the cross, the instrument of salvation. The feast emphasizes how an instrument of torture and execution was transformed into a life-giving symbol of hope and victory. Well, that's me. As a woman, I took on this much pain to gain this much wisdom. And a lot of the gospels that weren't adopted by the Christian church talk about Jesus and Mary's relationship and how, like, Peter specifically was jealous that Jesus would kiss Mary and that Jesus would always consult with Mary and trusted Mary. I mean, in Catholicism, they made Mary the number one apostle, a woman, the number one apostle. That was in 2016. So you can imagine why it couldn't happen in 2,000 years ago. And I'm going to quote a Cherokee proverb that's a dedication in my book. A woman's highest calling is to connect a man to his soul so he can unite with source. Source, I'm going to equate that with God. So the woman unites with God. Okay, remember that. The woman unites men with God. And she ain't mentioned here, right? A man's highest calling is to protect a woman so she can walk the earth unharmed, right? But, who's doing the healing? The cross. Jesus. We go to Jesus for forgiveness. Jesus is male. Forgiveness is female. I'm getting at the patriarchy here. How femininity has been devalued and women internalize that. And how feminism is really a fight to value femininity. We had to go through a lot of darkness to get here, but I'm going to make that argument. That's why I'm here today. Mary Magdalene has been excluded on purpose. Women are the healers. Right-brained activities are nurturing, compassion, forgiveness, self-reflection, all the things you go to the church for. Well, why are we going to the church when that's women's work? These are the questions I'm asking myself. Christ's ultimate sacrifice. It is a time to contemplate the profound sacrifice of Jesus and his boundless love, as reflected in the words of 1 Corinthians. We preach Christ crucified, the power of God, the wisdom of God. The pathway to heaven. As St. Rose of Lima said, apart from the cross, there is no other ladder by which we may get to heaven. Okay, we got to talk about that. The cross represents the path of self-denial and discipleship that Christ calls all believers to follow. Change is an inside job, people. How many times have you heard if you want to change the world, you have to change yourself? Right now, we ain't living in heaven. Why? Because we hate ourselves. Heaven is created in our hearts, projected externally, and then reflected back to us. Why is God male? To support that God creates and orchestrates, right? Creation is feminine. Why are we giving a feminine activity? Women got wombs to create, not men. God has a womb? A masculine God has a womb. Is he trans? Yeah, I fucking said it. Because I'm fucking done. That we undervalue femininity so badly that we just erased Mary Magdalene for 2,000 years because we couldn't fucking handle it. Last fall, November 2024, I was told I'm an agent of God. And I was in and out of enlightenment after I reached out to JC. I'm like, what an agent of God? I'm a soul having a human experience. What do you mean? I didn't know what it meant. Recently looked it up, biblical Hebrew, prophet or angel. Then I was told agents of God, intuitively, that we hide things in one lifetime to find them in another. Well, early Christians talk about Christ's consciousness within, the heart within. Well, if everybody can look within and use their own wisdom, because our souls are a microcosm of the macrocosm, the universe, so all the wisdom of the universe is in each of our souls, what do we need the church for? I'm not saying the church hasn't done good. It has. But we also know it's done bad, and we're humans, so we make mistakes. 2,000 years ago wasn't the time for self-healing either. So I know why it wasn't time. The Mayan calendar, the cycle of the Mayan calendar ended in 2012. You don't know what cycle started? The time for self-healing. Now's the time for self-healing. And how do we create heaven on earth? By changing our own hearts. My life was horrendous. I had so much fucking pain in my life, my whole life. I'm 5 years old, this cute little blonde girl. Look at me. Look at me. Cute little blonde girl. Couldn't make a friend. I rejected myself profoundly. I resonate with this statue that I found a picture of it earlier this year, 2025. And it's called Emptiness. It's of a grieving parent. Well, why would I resonate with a grieving parent? I don't remember losing a kid, but I don't remember most of my childhood either. Okay? So it's a statue of a head and arms and no center, no heart, and then no leg, and then the legs. So the whole center of the body, the whole heart just gone. That's how I felt my whole life. I just rejected myself so profoundly from my parents' abuse, from the wounds that I received from JC as a kid. But that's what women do. Like, what do women do? We're the emotional center. We process the emotional pain. That's our job. So how can the cross get to the heart? Like, this doesn't make any sense. The latter, heaven is in our souls. Heaven isn't someplace we go. It's a place we create in our hearts. And so what happens is our hearts, or energy bodies, because physicists have proven that each human has an energy body, our emotions are projected out from our heart. The electromagnetic field around the heart is 5,000 times stronger than the brain. You can read Dr. Joe Dispenza. He goes totally into that. Okay, so we project our emotions, the vibration, and our emotions vibrate at different frequencies. Like shame is 20, anger is about 75, love's 200, compassion's 400, enlightenment, which is an emotion, it's between 700 and 1,000 hertz. You know, and we weren't ready to hear that enlightenment is an emotion because Buddhism doesn't teach that. It's all men. It's kind of like, you know, I see them as MGTOW. You know, reality is dual in nature, and we're acting like they're having an emotional experience with no women around. Come on. So anyway, heaven on earth is created in our hearts, projected externally. So it's in our hearts. When we feel different emotions, which are all about ourselves, we project it externally, and the other souls that vibrate at the same frequency start to move. And so those are the ones that draw our attention. So if you see like this two-prong experiment in physics, it's one is 400 hertz and one is 500 hertz. When 500 hertz moves, 400 hertz doesn't move at all. But if it's 400 and 400, when 400 hertz moves, this one moves too. So they're moving together, and that's how your reality is. That's how you perceive reality, by what draws your attention. Like if you and I see the same movie, we could have totally different takeaways, because what draws your attention is specific to your soul, the wounds and the wisdom in your soul, and what draws my attention is specific to the wounds and the wisdom in my soul. Both equally valid lessons, but different lessons. Great. So we're seeing the same movie. Everyone's seeing the same movie. Like Charlie Kirk's a prime example. I see that movie of him. I see a non-violent debater on college campuses, spreading the wisdom that he has, doing his best to help people connect to their hearts, connect to Jesus. That's what I see. Well, what did the shooter see? A man so dangerous, he needs to be killed. And yet, we're seeing the same movie. That is how much our internal reality impacts external reality collectively. And there's a lot of people that don't understand that. But now we've only been in self-healing for 12 years. So no one's late. You know, there's a lot of prophecies that the rapture is coming next week, and like the 23rd, 24th, 25th. And that's a lot. That prophecy has been around for a couple thousand years. I think that Jesus' return is around that. And this is the first year that Israel, when they sound the trumpets for Rosh Hashanah, it's the first year they're going live stream. And I've seen like dozens of American kid videos, not Jewish kids for sure, having rapture dreams that include trumpets. Okay, so a lot is happening right now. And Charlie Kirk, God bless his soul, died to protect us. First and foremost, his family. But look at how much people are coming together now, going to church, holding vigils, drawing boundaries, staying strong. I mean, the amount of people reaching out to Turning Point is like times 16, and 16 times what they already had in 2 days. Like 32,000 applications. It's freaking awesome. So, you know, and I thought more, I Googled the whole Mary Magdalene and the crucifixion, and, you know, she was there when he was crucified, and she was there when he was resurrected, and there's a lot of reports that she was pregnant. And in southern France, you know, Da Vinci Code stuff, there's a church there for her and the daughter that she had with her named Sarah, which is princess in Hebrew. And my older daughter and I, we are always born together. She's my number 2. She's mommy too. I'm taking care of the world while she takes care of the family. And she's been doing that since she was 6, 7 years old when we got a divorce. Incredible kid. All my kids are incredible. That's them, these three. And that's my mom, who's since passed. So then I found out that today is celebrate in Catholicism Mary and Mary's pain and women's pain, and then the need to hold space for women's pain. I mean, women, as a woman, I mean, all my enlightenment experiences were basically around the patriarchy and how do we really, in actuality, manifest an equal reality for women, because we still don't fucking have it. We just fucking don't. And we have to accept that women have a fucking point. And there's a reason we're 20 years from population collapse. I live in California. Why would I want to have kids in a state where the state can take away my child, shove drugs down their throats, chemical castration, and then even cut off their genitals when I have no say? Why would I want to bring children to the world like that? Why would I bring children to the world when MS-13 gangs crossing over the border all the time, when drugs and rape and taking children is pervasive? When you go to school and they're teaching my child to be gay and trans, or they can be a cat or a dog, whatever you think you are, you are. That level of crazy, why would I want to bring kids into that fucking world? Okay? So I understand why women have rejected it. And this is after a long, long time, but let's get back to God. Christianity says we are made in God's image. Okay, that's what you're saying, right? Then why is God singular when reality is dual in nature? We need the opposites. And that opposite energy is what creates the fluctuation of energy, which is what creates life. Energy, energy, when it stops moving, that's death. So if we want life, we need opposites to make those fluctuations happen. We need shame at the bottom, we need enlightenment at the top. And within and all the range in between to make our energy fluctuate and create life. So what if we, reimagine God? We're still arguing what a man and a woman is. So, spiritually, we haven't gotten that far. So I'm, creating space, holding space to reimagine God, to really create equality for men and women on earth and embrace our inherent roles that are supported by our physiology. And that are informed by our biological imperatives and the logic, the universal logic built into our souls. 1 + 1 will always equal 2. The table of all the chemicals, it will always remain the same. We didn't create that. We just observed it in nature and then wrote it down. Okay, so there's a way of things. And there's a reason traditional male and female relationships produce so many kids that we got to 8 billion people. There's a reason for that. And there's a reason we have population collapse now. Women are not meant to fulfill male roles. But when God is male, everyone wants to be male. So let's make women want to be feminine God and make men want to be masculine God. Women are equally necessary. Women are source energy. We channel life, but let's look at how the Bible has been written and translated, right? Helper. Woman's a helper, and the way they translate it in English is like less than. But the word in Hebrew, ezer, means helpful person who can do things you can't, and ezer is used to refer to God 5 times as well. When they say that Eve was born of Adam's rib, they take that literally. We're giving a man credit for creation, which is feminine work. And so, of course, we're devaluing the feminine because the man's creating and the man's orchestrating. And what the fuck are you doing over there? Oh, you just had the kids. Oh, I just tell you what to do. Oh, you're just fucking annoying. Yeah, I can go to church for forgiveness. I'm not going to come to you for that because you're not that valuable. Do you see the problem with this way of conceptualizing reality? It creates such an imbalance between men and women. Oh, that's one man, multiple women, because women aren't that valuable, right? All the problems that we've had that I face, like I face red pill. I face men with multiple women. I had to go through that. I had to face rape. I had to face my children getting aborted. I had to face my daughters not wanting to talk to me. I had to face a suicide attempt. I faced a failed marriage. I almost died. My second child was born. I went right back to work, and I got bacterial pneumonia, and then had to spend 2 weeks on a ventilator when she was 5 weeks old. And then she's 24 now. We're still, we just healed from that wound recently. 24 years, because as an infant, she thought I died. Because I didn't take care of myself, because I didn't value my ability to create human life. And I didn't know why until I kept healing and I kept exploring and uncovering. But that's feminine work. So fuck no, I'm not letting the church take that away from women. And other women shouldn't as well. Not that the church doesn't have a lot to offer, they do, but we need to reimagine with the reimagination of God. So, okay, so if God is dual in nature to reflect us, and we give women credit for creation and men credit for orchestration, there's the equality, right? Okay, so women need to learn how to occupy the center of a relationship, the emotional center, where emotional intimacy is created and sustained. Right? And within healthy emotional intimacy, you create healthy we create emotionally balanced beings. Right-brained activities like compassion, nurturing, forgiveness, intuitive, creative. That's connection to self. That's why the Cherokee proverb says that a woman's highest calling is to connect a man to his soul. That's connection to self. So he can reunite with source. Source being all the other, source energy, universe, all the other souls. So he's connected and aligned with his greatest good. That is women's work. So let's own that. And that's why, I'm at home all the time talking to souls, processing my emotions. I love it. I love being at home. I don't want to go to an office. I don't want to go out. Love being at home. So many women just love being at home. Let's empower women and teach them this is your role at home. Your role at home is to process your emotions, open up your heart, open up your telepathy, open up your healing gifts, your shamanic gifts, and keep your whole family emotionally aligned. Because when people are emotionally aligned, they're the most productive outside the home. They create the most opportunities for growth, the healthiest relationships, the best businesses. That has how a woman contributes to the whole family, but she can't do that job and process her emotions if she's in office all day long. So I'm calling God dual. So the woman occupies a center and the man occupies the lead. The man leaves the house to provide and protect and then comes back to the house. And so since she has all day long to care for the house, care for herself, when he comes home, it's time for their reconnection. Right? And in this reality, she can, have women used to have gardens and chickens and sell eggs and, make clothes. And she can still have some of that at home. Like my older daughter's a photographer. She'll be able to do that after she has kids. She already has her man. She has her always and forever. Gave me inspiration with JC. Maybe I have that in my future too, So I'm going to keep making videos and I'm going to keep sharing myself. And this is very difficult for me to accept, and get out there, and I haven't talked to JC yet. Only a week and a half ago, I finally had I could finally call the police and make an official report. Now it's too late to do anything and I wouldn't want to. It's been 40 years. I understand why we needed that pain. I needed all that pain to sit inside my shadow in my womb because I had 35 years of debilitating lower back pain so I could pull the wisdom out of that pain. All of my healing gifts, that universal wisdom is inside of everybody, that I'm the same soul as Mary Magdalene and I'm here to help everyone. I encourage you to buy my book. It's $2.99 electronically. It'll teach you how to self-reflect, how to take accountability for your wounds. It'll teach you how to transform your emotional wounds into personal wisdom. And hopefully, and since you'll be sitting in my energy, it'll really help you get closer to experiencing enlightenment. Because they say, the summary of the 5 people you spend the most time around, and there's a whole metrodome experiment in physics. So the fastest moving emotion is the most transformative. So the most transformative emotion, energy is what other energies are drawn to naturally. So there's 5 metrodomes and 2 are going super fast and the other ones are kind of slower. Within a minute, they're all going super fast. Okay. So I'm the fast metrodome and you're one of the slower ones. You can come align with me for $3. And you can email me and I'll help you that way too. Anyway, thank you for listening. And I'll keep making these videos while I keep bringing myself to light. Thank you so much. Bye.